I can say now this is the final day of the build assist. Today we fly Kilo Charlie Bravo home. It's the end of a magnificent journey. I think you guys know exactly how I felt about the whole process. It's been awesome, and today, you know, I get to fly it home, and I'm not going to do too much editing with this one. I'm just going to let you guys tag along for the ride, give you a little bit of an insight into how my training's gone over the last few days and how she performs along the way. One thing's for sure, I'm so grateful for the guys here at Global Aviation, Errol and Marietta. You guys are absolute rock stars. Let's go. So obviously prior to this moment, I'd already done an external inspection of the plane. So I'd done a full walk around, looking at all the control surfaces and the engine bay, including things like coolant level and oil levels. I also burped the Rotax engine as well to make sure that those engine oil levels were spot on. I find myself at the moment with the inspection, it taking a fair while, as you can imagine, quite new to walking around with this plane, so I'm going over things probably quite a bit more often than what I should. But again, it's just being cautious in these early stages. So the checklist that I've got here now that we enter into the cabin is exactly as I've been given. So we made a couple of alterations over the last few days during training, and I'll look to be updating that when I get back home to Albury. But right now, what you're viewing here on screen is exactly as the checklist is that I was given, and I'll show you all those checks as we go through.
Just for your information. Understood, thank you. Mike, go in November. Heckfield ground, Sling 340 radio check please. Bridge 5, Sling 8559. April traffic, Sling 8559 going around correctly to 8 Heckfield. Sling 10340, Reading 5.
You know, as I pulled this plane out, I played this moment out so many times over the last 18 months, it's not funny. And I wish I could tell you I really soaked it all in and enjoyed the moment. But the reality was that this was so far from the truth. Over the last few days, I'd flown over 15 hours with David, getting familiar with the Sling TSi, including entries and exits out of Gold Coast to get myself home. I'd also spent in my previous visits considerable amounts of time in the Sling too. No matter what I'd done though, I still felt unprepared. And if I'm being totally honest, I don't know that anything could have made me feel any better on the day. I'd studied the weather briefing for the last 3 days, and I knew this was my window to get out of the Gold Coast. I knew there was weather ahead and that I had a window to be able to avoid it. I also knew I had a 5-hour flight ahead of me and one of the longest cross countries I'd ever done. Lastly, I also knew I had a plane that was only 35 hours old, so the risk of something happening was always there, and I was really on edge prior to takeoff. I wanted to share all this with you because I'm not bulletproof, and the reality is, this again is part of building your own plane, and a process I've documented from the start all the way through to the finish. This is just the final piece, and something I had to face.
Heckfield traffic, Sling 9340, turning at base for runway 28, full stop, Heckfield traffic. Heckfield. Heckfield traffic, Sling 9340, clear of runway 28, Heckfield traffic.
Sling 9340, back to parking please.
Traffic Heckfield, Sling 4 Kilo Charlie Bravo is entering and rolling runway 10 for departure to southwest Heckfield. Oh, just on the way to Boona. Cruising along at the moment. .114 ground speed. Sitting at about 69%. 69% power through airspeed of 115 knots. Tipping 22 litres per hour at the moment. Weather looks good.
I was able to transition from Heckfield to Boona at 2,700 with the lowest step at Heckfield of 3,500. Then Boona to Warwick at 4,300, navigating myself carefully away from the restricted airspace of Amberley, close to the north of the gap, and well below the Charlie step of 8,500 coming into the gap.
Forgot to put the intercom system on, so no sound, unfortunately, on the takeoff. All rookie errors on the video stuff, but again, to be honest, I didn't even realise the video was on. A lot of stuff going through my head, checking all the gauges, making sure we're all sweet. Just in normal operations, so, you know, first time up here with just myself, so, you know, over cautious, making sure all the lights are off. But so far so good, everything's feeling really, really nice. Traffic Boona, Sling 4 Kilo Charlie Bravo is 10 nautical miles to the northeast. At 2,700 we'll be transiting to the west, Boona. Just kind of getting used to doing a bit of a scan at the moment, just starting to get a little bit more set up on the Garmin stuff. You know, I'm really only interested in engine stuff at the moment, obviously traffic as well, so it's great to have the traffic system over on the right hand side.
As mentioned earlier in the video, over the previous 3 days, I'd spent a heap of time with David Stevens from Pathfinder Aviation in Archerfield. For anyone in Australia seeking transition training in a Sling TSi, I can highly recommend David. He knows these machines back to front and was a wealth of knowledge for me. One of the things prior to taking this flight, I knew I needed to navigate airspace around me out of the Gold Coast and Brisbane. The airspace consists of restricted and danger areas related to military and high traffic congestion areas, plus Charlie and Delta airspace, with the final little salty piece being the ranges to the west. Over my 3 days, we practiced a number of entries and exits to the Gold Coast, Brisbane and Sunshine Coast airspace. The exit I took today from Heckfield to Boona, then through the Cunningham Gap to Warwick, was taken very purposefully to avoid lengthy periods of time over high ground and give me the best chance if something actually did go wrong. The gap was excellent. It left me with plenty of options to turn around, and once through the gaps, fields were plentiful. We spoke at length around this also being a really sensible weather option. Once through to Warwick and on to my next destination of Moree, I was able to get a lot more altitude with plenty of space in underneath me and heaps of open fields. I was able to cruise at around about 8.5 for that leg.
Yeah, so we're tracking to Moree. We're at 8,500 at the moment. Still got a bit of a headwind. That's unfortunate. But wind's pretty calm as well. So I've got a ground speed of 128, got 129 through. Sitting on roughly about 73% power at the moment. And we're sipping about 23.6 litres per hour of MOGAS. So I think it's pretty bloody good. Glad I sort of went this way. There was a few options that we talked about, but it's nice and flat out here. There's plenty of options. bit of a barren part of Australia. Plenty of open paddocks. Feeling pretty comfortable about everything. It's this is probably a really nice section to have just got my bearings a little bit.
We had a good hour's flying as we progressed towards Moree, but as expected the weather started to close in. I had my alternate in my back pocket, but again, after thorough planning, I knew I was over an hour ahead of the weather. The cloud base began to drop, and I initially reset to 6,500 until finally closer to Narrabri, dropping down to 4,500. This maintained separation from the cloud and a clear reference to the ground throughout.
Yeah, so dropped down to 6.5 now, just to get below those bases. I would have been right in it at 8.5. The wind's picked up a little bit, so I've got a little bit of a tailie. I'm sort of ground speed sort of varying between sort of 125 to 135 at the moment. And yeah, so not too bad, but getting a little bit bumpy as well. But I've sort of threaded the needle through the clouds, which is great. And it looks to me like once I get past Narrabri, Dubbo is going to be a lot better. So yeah, it sounds like on the radio at the moment, Tamworth's copping a fair bit of rain. A lot of people asking for a divert, so I wouldn't have wanted to get away an hour later, I don't think, out of Heckfield. So yeah, it was a good move to go when I did. Alright, so sitting at 6.5, and yeah, I'm below the cloud probably by a good 1,000 feet, but it's a little bit bumpy, so I'm going to descend down to 4.5 now and just see if I can get it through a little bit of that. It's not bad, but you know, it's not comfortable either. I know that I've looked at the TAF for Dubbo, and we're all good at Dubbo, so I know, you know, I'm basically 11 nautical miles now from Narrabri, so I'm feeling pretty good.
No, killing 22 Delta, Armadale, forward. Killing 22 Delta, Armadale, South 700.
So descending down now, I'm going to go down to 4.5. Let's get a little bit lower, get below this. Just going to slow the airplane down a little bit as well. Scooting along now. A ground speed of 141 knots. Yeah, just going to slow it down a little bit, down to about 38%. Let it naturally slow down. But yeah, I am. And once again, I know I've said it so far already, but I feel really lucky that I got away when I did, because if I was at Moree now, then I don't think there was any chance that I was going to get through, which that's good. And I know I got a good bailout here to the west, which is good. Now I've sort of settled in, just getting used to everything that's in front of me. The last few days on my training, we've spent very, very little time on the Garmin side of things, the cockpit. I kind of feel so I'm used to the old style gauges, and my glass experience or my Garmin experience is really minimal. So it's been a little bit tough with something like this Sling that's so advanced. Got a GNX 375 in it, got 2 G3Xs, the autopilot, dual nav, dual comm as well. It's there's so much technology on this thing and so much situational awareness, and that's obviously what I paid for, so that's great. But it can be really distracting as well. So, you know, the last few days for me with Dave, I know that I sort of said to you guys that I was going to spend a fair bit of time sort of yesterday videoing all that sort of stuff. I again got to that point where I was like, I don't want to video this. I just want to I just want to enjoy it and take it all in. So you have to forgive me. You'll have to forgive me for not doing that, but a little bit selfish. I know that it's yeah, it worked out for me because I got a really good introduction into the flight characteristics, and we've done so many landings now. It was great to really get comfortable in it. So I guess, you know, people are probably going to ask, what is my first impression of the TSI? My wife asked me last night. She said, like, what's it like? How does it perform? All that sort of stuff. My reaction to that was, I feel like it's a bit like a excitable puppy. It really is. It really is. It really likes to get away from you if you let it, and I think it really wants to go. Just started to hand fly this a little bit, just bumping around a little bit too much on the autopilot. So yeah, just get myself back into the groove, and still looking good ahead. I reckon there is maybe a little bit of rain ahead, but it's, we know there was some light showers of rain. There's no big fronts in front of us, which is great. So I've got 22 nautical miles to park. It's just off to my east, so off to my left-hand side. Trucking along, yeah, just copping some headwinds. I had a nice little stint there where I had a really nice little tailie, but unfortunately blowing back again.
Oscar Lehman, I report ISR traffic.
But feeling
Sierra Juliet at 4 descent.
Feeling super comfortable now at 8,200. Just sort of found that's the sweet spot at the moment. As expected with that TAF. At Dubbo, everything's cleared up. We've got no cloud ahead. It's an absolutely beautiful day. Starting to come through now, which is awesome. So yeah, we're sort of starting to get back into my territory now, and that's the outlook. Like, that's pretty nice for forced landings and all that type of stuff. Not a bad place to train. But one of the things that I took out of the last couple of days as well too, is it's great to be out in the country and have this sort of scenery. And all these paddocks and open space, but also that complex airspace, and lots of military around in the Brisbane area as well too. Lots of traffic. Just invaluable to get up there and train in that area. I'm going to go back up there and do a little bit more because there's so much to learn in that area. So it was a really awesome time to be able to do it in my plane. I've got to say to you now, I'm sort of 4 hours into this flight, and it's definitely, probably at this point, I'm getting close to being home, that it's finally starting to sink in that this thing's mine, and you know, I built it, and it's a bloody nice feeling to have. And I've got to be honest though, since I've taken the thing, or since I started using it on Monday, I just haven't had the chance to be able to really enjoy it. And just in this last little piece, I've put it down to 6.5 because the winds are a little bit more favourable here. I'm just starting to enjoy it, and it's taken a little while. It's like 4.5 hours to do that, but I'm finally starting to get those vibes that this is pretty bloody cool. It's a feeling that I can't explain. I'm roughly around about 50 odd minutes from home. We'll shoot the circuit. I'll take you guys with me and show you how I'm flying in.
Unfortunately, at this point, my rear camera died, which was also the camera which was getting all the audio, so you're going to have to bear with me as I start to talk you in. The elevation into Corowa was 469 feet, and very similar to what was my existing training base, which was Aubrey. So a circuit height of 1,500 feet. The airport itself is a CTAF, so a non-towered aerodrome. On this particular day, there was a NOTAMS that was active for some parachuting in the area for the military. Luckily, as I was rolling into Corowa, it was deactivated. This ultimately was the first landing for me without an instructor by my side in this plane. So I'm once again being really real with you. There was a fair amount of nerves starting to set in even prior to Corowa. I know that I'd done the work and I knew the speeds, and we talked a lot during training, particularly with David, about making sure that we're slowing the aircraft down in advance of entering the circuit, giving myself some time. And I think that that was a really, really valuable tip. As I came over the field, I noticed that the windsock was favouring runway 23, which again was a really, really awesome option for me, because at Corowa, that was probably the runway that I'd landed the most on. So it was nice to be overflying the airfield, knowing that that one was going to be the runway that I was going to land to. I'm not going to chat too much about the actual circuit itself today. I'm just going to give you the basics, because my next video is going to be all around circuits in the Sling TSi. And the reason that I'm going to do that as my next video is that when I was sort of really trying to consume as much Sling TSi content on YouTube as I possibly could, there wasn't a whole hell of a lot of people breaking down the circuit and what to expect, in particular for a new owner. So it's something that I really want to do, in particular for those new owners out there in a situation just like me on their first flight home. You would have just seen my hand move to the panel before, and that was me taking the first stage of flap. So in terms of speeds, I had to make sure that the plane was below 85 knots, which is the maximum flap extension speed on the Sling TSi. I flew this part of the circuit between 80 and 85 knots. It's a pity the rear-facing camera wasn't there. It would have given you another element to this one, but it's all good. As I'm going down here, the setup position in a midfield downwind for me is I'm looking to slow the aircraft down. So you'll see me using the trim a fair bit, just making sure I get the attitude right to get the speed right. And then you'll also start to hear that power setting start to come off as I start to control the level of descent. You'll see later on here in the video that I didn't get the power setting right on the downwind, and it cost me as I was going into land. I've just taken the second stage flap at this stage, and the speed's sitting roughly at about 80 knots. As I'm starting to come onto final, I'm also now starting to realise that I am high. And this is the final stage of flaps going in now as we approach the runway. I'm fixated at the moment on the aiming point, and as I'm going over the fence, I'm looking for a speed of about 75 knots. It was super nice also for my girls to surprise me upon landing at Corowa. Enjoy the commentary from my little mate Evie.
Wait until he comes in with it.
There's a deep sigh, whether or not you see it or not, and I realise that I'm now on the ground, landed safely. It wasn't the best landing, but it wasn't the worst either. I'll take it for my first one in at home base. And I've taken a heap of lessons out of that particular landing.
Yeah, he has his doors up, yeah. He has his doors up.
If you're still here watching, thanks so much for watching the entirety of the video. I've definitely got some learnings on the video and the audio side of things to consider as I go through and start to make some more content. I found it pretty nice to go back over and edit this video and remember some of the moments along the trip. And it's nice to have this one in the bank that basically will stand the test of time. And this is officially the last video in my build series. For everyone that's been there since episode 1, thanks heaps. Really appreciate you. And from here on in, it's all about the flying. I can't wait. And lastly, to Errol, Marietta and the whole global aviation products team, I really appreciate you guys allowing me to fold the curtains back and show people what the operation was like. 18 months ago, I was one of those people that was just so interested in what global aviation products deliver. And hopefully I've been able to shine a bit of a light on what that process is and encourage a few people along the way to maybe consider building a plane with these guys. It's a 10 out of 10 for me, and signing off.